All right, we're live with part 3. Got my co-host here, Belle. I'm Spat. We're doing the Bandai ATS. I lost the box. It's somewhere over here. The Bandai ATST in whatever scale it happens to be in. I think it's 1/72nd is going to be my guess. 148. I was close. 148 scale. So first time we built all the structures. Second time was painting the Wookiee, who still needs, I think he needs like a little gloss coat, maybe a little shine, maybe not gloss, maybe like a semi-gloss. His fur is a little too matted here. I'm going to get a little shine to it. Last week we also built the base, which came out great. Very happy with this. This week we're going to add some paint to the main pieces. So we've got 4 parts. We got the legs, which are just placed in. They can come right out. The little center hub, and we got some people joining, yay, and the main piece. What's the matter, Belle? Are we boring you? Do you want to say hi, Belle? You want to wave? Come here. Come here. There you go. You say hi? Can I get this bump? All right. Okay. Yay, all right. So, we are going to be airbrushing. I do want to let everybody know that I have a fan behind us blowing forward. I have a fan up here blowing out to make sure that none of the airbrush goes near Belle. We're also not using enamels. We're using water-based acrylics, so it should be okay. And if she gets bored, she'll turn around anyway. And I'll make sure we don't blow anything towards us, because we will be doing some airbrush stuff. So what I am going to do is a little thing that I like to do, which is pre-shading, where I kind of go in with black into all the inner areas and around the panels and all these different places to get the deep parts black. And then I'll go back over it with the regular gray paint. I don't know what color I'm going to use for the gray, actually. I think I have a Floquil gray that I really like that I'll probably never find in this desk until like next week sometime. Oh, here we go. Yeah. CSX gray. That's pretty much... No, it's a pretty damn close color. It's a hair darker than this, but I think that's fine. So, for our first bit, we need to mix up some finned black paint for airbrushing. And we got little cups. And we got a little flat black paint. Belle's going to show us her butt the whole time. Butt. She's like, I want to go inside and watch TV. Let's see if I got any more black. No, I think I'm very low on black paint, but we'll see. We'll make it work. I'm sure I've got other black paints that are like this one's kind of pre-mixed with other colors, but I still use it. Mixer. I need to reorganize this desk at some point to get it somewhat human and usable one of these days. Paint mixing. Paint in the cup. I'll probably even do it in here. Throw in the thinner into there. Try it this way to get a little thin base of paint. Back in the cup. Paper towel. Alright. See if that should be thin enough. Fire up the airbrush. A little thinner end to kind of lube it. Prime the pump. Cap things. I always forget to put the caps back on things, and that's how I end up making big messes. And I do see where I already oversprayed with some of the black and splashed it on the ATST, so just wipe that off really quick before we get too crazy. I am going to end up getting this all over my hands. I did not bring gloves, so we'll have to deal with that. Let's see if this is thin enough. Yeah, it's perfect. So what we're going to do is basically just go around the little panel lines into all the little recesses just to give us a base, into the little grills. So this way when I go over it with the gray paint, I'll hit those a little lighter with the gray paint, and then the black will show through. I'm not going to go on any of the flat parts. There's no point in painting it all black. And I'm also not even primering it because the flat black is basically going to primer the parts I need anyway. And the other parts I don't really care about. Let's see, I haven't been looking at questions. Is that an Iwata? This one is an Iwata, the Neo by Iwata. I love this airbrush. It's awesome. I've got about like 5 others probably on the table of all different kinds. Airbrushes are awesome. I go through, pick them up whenever I see one that's like, ooh, this one's cool and this one's got this, but I kind of always stick to this guy. And then I've got other ones that I use for makeup as well. And for a while I was trying to be good and like have one that's for enamel paints and one that's going to be for the acrylic paint so that they don't get mixed up, and it never works. Painting around a little grenade launcher or concussion grenade launcher. Like, why would you use concussion grenades on Ewoks? What the hell were you thinking? This is why you guys lost the war. The war of Ewok supremacy. A little bit on the guns. There you go. So you see just a little bits here and there. Why does so much use it? Yeah. Well, also for makeup, a lot of times I use a Grex airbrush, which is a new company, and they're fantastic airbrushes. The problem is they're over-engineered to break down into like 300 parts, which means that when you clean it, it takes like an hour. Like, there's no quick clean on them because every little part is an extra piece that comes apart. In theory, because this way you can, you know, really get in and do detailed and swap out this part for that, and but it ends up making it just overly complicated to the point where it's just, you know, it's fun to use, but then I'm like, I don't want to clean it. And if you've never used an airbrush, there are multiple kinds of airbrushes: internal mix, external mix, single and double action. I'm sure there are other weird bits from here. This is a internal mix double action, which means that the paint goes into the airbrush to mix with the air, so that makes it an internal mix. Double action means that you have to push down to get airflow and then pull back to get the paint mix flow. Yeah, the panels are open. Ryan, weren't you here last week? Last week we went over that, and I thanked you. You need to go back and watch. There's also for mixing more caustic things like enamel paints or, you know, heavy-duty latex or weird things. Then you're going to want an external mix airbrush, which means that the paint is mixed with the air outside of the body of it, which prevents it from really gunking up the internals too much. And single action ones, you know, single action airbrushes are good if you're just kind of splattering paint all over things. What it means is that when you press down, paint comes out. It's not really much of a difference. It's just on or off. You can kind of control how much paint by how hard you press, but for the most part, that's it. I've got tons. I got these cleaning brushes for cleaning. I've got. I just picked up this little heavier duty kit for cleaning the airbrush. I haven't tried it yet. And whenever I see something like on Amazon or something on sale, I'm like, oh, an airbrush cleaning kit. I'll grab that because, you know, I have to have one in my makeup kit, and I gotta have one in here, and, you know, I end up with like 5 or 6 of everything when it comes to the airbrush, just because sometimes I'm traveling and sometimes I have it at this desk or I have it at my airbrush station in the shop, so I end up with like 5 or 6 of everything. Right, Belle? Belle's very confused. She's like, what is going on here? Who are you talking to? Right, Belle? It's good because you guys can actually see the crazy looks she gives me now. It's not just all in my head. Especially in these little vents. And in all these little bits. And around these tubes, and now my thumb is black. Alright. That is my new pirate name. Black Thumb. Alright. Actually, we got some paint left over. I didn't even need all that paint. Keep forgetting this kit is actually much smaller than it should have. I have treats. I actually did. I have a little stack of treats right behind me, saved in case Belle gets a little antsy. and feels the need that she needs to be rewarded. So I thought ahead for once on that. What's up, chum? And what else? Does Belle get overspray on her tongue? Now, as I went through earlier, I have a fan behind me blowing forward and a fan in front blowing out. So none of this should be going anywhere near her. And even if it does, she grew up in a house full of smokers. I assure you, this will be the least dangerous thing she's ever had in her lungs. And wait, aren't you worried about me getting overspray on my tongue? What's that rattling sound? That's the airbrush compressor refilling with air. That's how airbrushes work. Well, this actually looks pretty cool, just like this. You know, almost like it's what do you call it? Like in black and white. Alright, so clean up this guy. Little bit of cleaner in here. I'm going to do a quickie on the fly cleaning just because I want to change colors. And now we're going to move on to our gray. I'm going to use the flow quill, which I already lost. Here it is, the flow quill. When I first started doing... No. Why is everybody saying no? What did I miss? So when I first started making the Colonial Marine armor back in the day, I actually used flow quill paints because at the time, Chris C. hadn't posted his chart on the conversions of what other paints to use instead of Humbrol. So I just kind of picked up paints that kind of looked like the colors to me, and the best paints I found, you know, for doing that kind of stuff and in the weird colors was flow quill, which is mostly made, this is polyscale flow quill, made for, no, you don't care, no, you don't care if I get, got it, thank you. It's made for model railroad stuff. It's a good scale paint, like they actually take the colors and mess with them to make them look more in scale. Yeah, thanks guys. So, another cup. Okay. Paint. Make sure you cap it, because I spill things a lot. Yeah, I'm looking, this is actually polyscale. I thought this was flow quill. Flow quill? I think it might be the same company, because the bottles look exactly the same. This. And try not to spray over too much. Yeah, if you're making model kits, these mixers are the best. Alright. Oh, I got a lot of people joining. And then we've got Belle back here. She's now buried her nose in the corner and is taking a nap. She's completely given up on us because no one's doing anything fun for her. Alright, let's see what we got. Nice, that's a nice color. Alright, so what we're basically going to do now is just give a little bit of paint to the body. I'm going to try not to go over the blackened areas too heavily, so some of this darkened pre-shading comes through. So here we go. So you can kind of, I put a diffuser on. There we go. That's pretty good. So you've got some darkness in the edging. I mean, I'll go in and weather anyway. But this way, there's a little bit of that dark background that I don't have to go crazy trying to get in there with to weather myself, if that makes sense. Like you end up with a very subtle color variation, you know, in all these little corners and the edges. A little bit on the gun. I'm still going to go in and do some details here and there, obviously, and little bits of extra weathering on some parts. And here you go. You can kind of see it. I mean, it looks really good. You've got some little dark and around the edges here and there, and in the recesses. There's a nice dark edge inside those little undercuts. Like, it's really good. If I do say so myself. There we go. I still have to paint the gun because right now I've been holding it by the gun. There we go. Get a little leg action. This color is pretty much perfect. I'm glad I had this. CSX Gray, for those wondering. Seems to do an ATST beautifully. I would not doubt that they used a similar color for the originals. There you go. You got a nice little subtle darkness in the little edges. Again, I'm going to go over it anyway with maybe Chewbacca out of the way so we don't accidentally paint him again. I'm going to go over it anyway with some weathering, you know, do a little darkening here and there and other stuff, but at least it gives you a little something underneath. And it's, you know, like I said, basically a little mini primer. And the one nice thing about using an airbrush, if you're careful with it and you're not going nuts, it takes very little paint to cover a model kit. Did you say so? I did say so myself. Almost like shadow. Exactly. That's what you're doing. You're pre-shading the panel lines with the black to save you having to do much work later. And you'll still have some stuff to do, obviously, but you know, a lot of those little recesses, you don't want to go in there with a brush and try and get black paint on later on to give it that shadow. There we go. It's just about enough. That's a base coat. Here we go. I think it looks fantastic. The colors are pretty darn good. Love it. It's definitely going to need some kind of like a semi-gloss overcoat to give it that little bit of a metallic shine, but otherwise I'm very happy with this. Now I gotta find a little bottle. I have little bottles I try and save. You know, I mixed up way too much paint. I really thought it was going to take more. Luckily we have little caps for these guys, so I can save this in case I need some more later. My thumb is already grayed out. Quickie airbrush cleaning. Looks easier than, oh yeah, well, the pastels are great for some things, but for doing a base, I mean, I'm still going to go in and use a wash to get a little bit more detail and to give a little bit more, like, make it look like it's been, you know, it's been out in a jungle and a little bit weathered and stuff like that. Did you find out if the toe was from anything? No, I thought that was your guys' job. Acrylics. These are all acrylics and water-based. The first coat was acrylic. The polyscale is water-based, which is still acrylic, but it's just a water-based acrylic, as opposed to the weird Tamiya thinner thing. And what's up, Bob? What's up, Bob? Finish with flesh tones. Are you? I got a little wipe down. All right. Alright, the ATST is looking good. Can you guys see the little head here? So that's a quick base coat. Looks great. Good color. Now we can go in and do a little detail painting. I'm going to keep it apart. I'm not going to put it together yet because it's still going to be, you know, it's going to be kind of a pain to handle. Okay, so let's try something weird. Let's find a little tiny brush. The teeniest, tiniest brush in the world. This is a 00, so this is pretty damn small. Alright. Alien. Not quite an alien. Alright. I like to dip the brush in the thinner first to kind of loosen the bristles. It works for me. I don't know if it does anything. I'm going to break out our Lavado wash. It's a thin black paint, again acrylic as well. I can actually turn off the compressor now. We don't need that. Make a little pile of paint. Find the cap that I already lost. There we go. And now we're going to go in and just do some detailing. Just little weird things, you know, get in here in the grill. In the grill. I could probably do the grill actually in black rather than a wash. Yeah, I might do that. Hold on. I've still got a little bit of the black left over from the airbrush. So I'm just going to go in the grill. Just to give these grills a little bit more attention so they look a little worn. The one weird thing, if you watch the movie, the ATSTs really didn't have a lot of grain on them. You would think, you know, from them running around through the jungle, they'd have kind of green and brown stains and scratches on them more, but they really didn't. There's also another vent on here. I'm going to do this a little black. Actually, that one can go the other way. That one will get the wash. All right. Clean off the brush. All right, here we go. So I gave a little black in the vents. I got a nice big thumbprint right on top, which you can't see luckily, but I'll get to it. And I'm gonna need a Q-tip. With the washes, I like to just, you know, dab a little bit of the paint on and then rub it off with the Q-tip. This way you end up with a little bit of a, you know, a little staining around the edging of the panel lines and in the deep recesses, but without the big stain on top. I mean, if I was doing a tank that had, what do you call it? And you can see the difference in, let me finish this line and then I'll show you what I'm talking about. I put a diffuser on the light, so it's a little better in lighting. It's still not great. So if you look at the one side, let's see if I can get the right, okay. So if you look at this side here, I just did a quickie wash on it, and then this side is clean, so you can see the difference in the colors. Where the battle damage, no, the only battle damage I'm going to do is the scratch across the nose that's on the actual one. For the most part, they were pretty well done. I mean, I'm not going to do the one that got crushed by the boulders. It'd be kind of cool to do that one. The sides crushed in from those Ewok insurgents. I mean, I'm not really expecting this kit to be... I mean, the fact is it's taken me 3 weeks to build this. No one saw that. Rust. I don't think there was any rust on them. Was there any rust on the ATSTs? You would think if there was going to be some rust, they'd have tons of it after being on Hoth. I'm going to do a little staining on the top to get rid of the thumbprint that I pressed in. And try and hide that. And for the most part, the ATSTs were pretty well maintained. I mean, it's not like these guys were stuck on Tatooine where no one was watching them. Those guys knew Vader wasn't coming around, so that's why they let their armor go to crap. And they got to ride around giant lizards. They were like, Vader's never coming to a sand planet. We can do whatever we want down here. Woohoo! I'm pretty sure that's how it worked in Star Wars. Drop damage. Oh, there's always drop damage on all the things I make. I drop everything. I'm horrible. Inside all the little gears. If I had a steadier hand and a lot more time, you thin this down a little bit more, and then you just do a little drop and let it flow into all the place. I don't really have time for that. So I kind of cheat and just kind of rub it everywhere, and then just dab off the parts that I don't want it on. So especially deep inside, like in these little recesses inside this gear over here, I'm guessing, I don't know what this is supposed to actually control, but in some way it's some kind of gear, it's something. You figure it's going to get messy, it's going to get some grunge on it. But I don't want to cover up all the paint. with the grunge. I want to have some of that base paint still coming through. And this side here has all the little rivets. Hard to hold on the little nub. It's got a whole lot of little rivets on this here, so we're going to try and get, you know, a little bit in there. You can do this really, really slowly, or just slap it all on and then wipe it off. Again, leaving a little part in the center untouched. I'm trying not to leave all the little bristles on there. Those little rivets, oh man, they grab. And over here we've got these hoses. Those definitely need a nice wash. I really want those to stay much darker than the rest of the piece, because I feel like the hoses definitely would have been a different color from the main body. Let's see, any other questions? Rub it everywhere, that's right. You can quote me on that too. And these like little hydraulic hoses, I'm sure they leak a little bit here and there, you know, it's a military thing. It's a little staining around these edges. There's lots of little detail. I think this is probably the most detailed part of the kit, is here in this part here. Like the rest of the main body is pretty smooth and simple. Still loving the fact that the hoses are rubber. I love that little detail on these kits. Definitely love Bandai. And for my own unfortunateness, I discovered last night that Bandai does make a Battleship Yamato from Star Blazers kit. Might have to do that one in a future live session. And then get the choice of either a 12-inch long one or the 24-inch long version. I don't know which one to do. Let's see if paper towels work better. They don't catch as much. There we go. It's much better. So, just a little weathering. Let's see if I can get better lighting on this. I tried to do lighting. I need like a lighting director. Alright, so you've got... Oh, there you go. Alright, a little out of focus. Focus. Come on. Focus. There I am. It's trying to focus on me. Stop focusing on me. Focus on that. That a little better? Okay, so you can see posting some... Oh yeah, I always post pictures afterwards. So there's... I'm trying to get some weathering in there. Just trying to get a little darkness in the recesses. It comes out much darker on the... Facebook, for some reason, when it takes photos and takes over your camera, it does it at a different setting than the actual camera. Like, some of the photos that it takes are horrible. I'm like, where the hell did you get that? It doesn't use the same light. Oops. Fender popped off. This is one of the weird parts of this kit basically not being glued together, because it's a Bandai, you don't really have to. Inside under the fenders. Here. I'm not going too crazy because it is a very small scale. Do this. A little bit of that. Alright, now a little bit more. Now it's too dark. You can kind of see a little bit. Just making it look like it's weathered. It's a little heavy. I might have got a little too heavy on the weathering, especially in this scale. Worst comes to worst, I'll hit it with another coat of the gray on top, and it'll be like it never happened. Yeah, I kind of like it. I'm going to leave it. I think once I hit it with the clear coat, like a little quick semi-gloss, I think it'll look great. Now, paint up some of these hoses. Around the little hub. Dropped it. Okay. Yeah, these things don't really have any good place to grab. So it's a little rough. And on a kit this small, like I was thinking about doing like a little dry brushing, but I just don't really see, you know, these things didn't have really worn edges. You know, in the film, the edging on them was good. I mean, the only damage they had was whatever, so you could differentiate which one was which. I think that was the only real reason that one ATST had that little streak across its nose, was just so you would know that was the same one from before. You know, otherwise these things were pretty well maintained for being on a forest moon running around, you know, in the trees. But again, they were at a main base with the boss. They couldn't slack off like those sand troopers in the Outer Rim. There we go, coming along nicely. Getting a little weathering on there. You can still see my thumbprint though on that one. Get a little bit more on the edging of this piece. Around the vents. And wipe it down. One more little bit on this edge, and I think we'll be done. I mean, the leg is going to socket into this part, so I think that's going to kind of block 90% of this from being seen. And we'll go a little bit in here. Okay. There we go. I think the body hub, whatever you want to call this part, is done. Right, we got a bunch of people joining. How will you fit Peter Mayhew in there? With a blender, obviously. Okay. What part should we do next? Let's do a leg. Let's get some more of our wash. Basically using the instruction card as like a paint mixer. Yeah, around the edge. Gotta be careful because I know these parts aren't glued on, so I don't want to accidentally pop anything off. Okay. Yeah, I know Wes was in there. Wes, actually, I got a lot of my kits from him, a lot of the Star Trek kits and a couple of others at one point. I've got a few kits coming up. I think the next one will be, if you guys want to continue this, if you enjoy this kind of thing, we can do the U-Wing kit. I'm actually curious to try that one. The U-Wing and TIE Striker with the little tanks. So we can do that one next after this. Or maybe we'll be sick of Star Wars and ready for something else, though I think I'm running out of kits to build. I mean, aside from Star Wars and Star Trek and Galactica, really, there's not too many other franchises out there that have great kits to build that I haven't already done, you know. I know that they're coming out with a 1/35th scale Raptor from Galactica. That I can't wait for, but it's been delayed so many times, I'm just not even confident it's ever going to come out. And that would be a great kit. I would really enjoy building that. That thing's got to be huge. I did see, like I said, the Battleship Yamato from Star Blazers. I saw they have a kit of that in multiple scales. That might be an idea for a future one. Though knowing me, I'll want the 2-foot wide one. Though I have no place to put these kits anymore. I'm going to have to start building shelves in here. I'm in the middle of building a trench run from Star Wars. That's going to end up 3 feet long at the scale that I decided to build it at. I've got a Enterprise kit. Hey, how's my low battery? Are we not plugged in? Hold on a second. Oh, the battery unplugged. Hold on one second. Close. Why are you watching this? You love it, Sherman. You know that. Hold on. Let me plug in my phone before he dies. There we go. Okay. Roger, you talk a big game, but you know you're going to be the first one, like, congratulating me when you see me in New York in 2 weeks or whenever it is. And for everybody who is in New York, anybody who's a New Yorker, I will be at EternalCon in, I don't know, like a week and a half. When the hell is it? It's coming up. Out at the Meadowlands. Not the Meadowlands, Nassau Coliseum, sorry. We got CM Punk, Brianna Hildebrand from Deadpool, Lee Merriweather, the girl who plays Poison Ivy on Gotham, I don't remember her name. Who else? Edward James Olmos, Jerome Blake, Paul Blake, who played Greedo in Star Wars, and many, many others. So, if you're in an ex-New Yorker, we're all an ex-New Yorkers. Everybody in America is an ex-New Yorker. They just don't know it yet. So if you're in New York next week, or whenever it is, 2 weeks, and interested in seeing us, come on down to EternalCon at the Meadowlands, Nassau Coliseum. I keep saying Meadowlands. I'm be sending people to the wrong place for the whole weekend. I believe the Friday, I'm going to try and do a dinner at Vincent's Clam Bar. Grace Lee's going to be there, yep. Are you going to be there? You're going to come by and buy some comics? Didn't you go to... I did. I went to CW Post out in Long Island. So not too far from there. That's actually this place. The Nassau Coliseum is right near Hofstra, I believe, or Delphi, one of those other schools. One of our rival schools. I'm going to speed this up a little bit. Just kind of gunk up these little edges. Blah, blah, blah. Get it a little dirty. Let's dirty up the feet. I like to think the feet would be the dirtiest part of this thing, you know. But I don't recall them looking any grungier than any other part. So. We're going to get a little bit more like, you know, kind of like a look of oil in the joint parts of the different bits. As you figure, you know, a vehicle like this doing this. I do not do comics. You don't do comics? So I can have your comic collection? Or do you call them something different? Is there some name we're not knowing? Like they're not dolls, they're action figures. I don't know. I'm gonna do I'll do a Facebook event and then get invites, and then I'll set the reservation once I figure out how many people are going. The hard part is getting people to freaking reply, as we know. Alright, I think this leg is nicely weathered. Got a little grunge to it. Left a little bits here and there to make it look like it's dirty but not filthy. It has been running around a forest, but it's not, gross. That's the trick is, with weathering is to temper it, to not go so nuts that everything looks like it's been through a war. Even things that have been through a war shouldn't look like they've recently been on fire. Sometimes with weathering, you kind of get a little crazy and you're like, ooh. And then next thing you know, everything looks like it's just burnt instead of weathered. Go a little quicker on this one. I'll display it with this leg hidden in case it comes out bad. Ewok poop to the feet. Ewok guts. There should be like a string of Ewok guts hanging around this thing, you'd think. Well, actually, it really shouldn't, because they only killed one Ewok in the whole war. I don't know how that happened. George Lucas got lazy. That's why I was so glad that he didn't do Rogue One. If Rogue One had been written by George, everybody would live happily ever after, and no one ever dies. Like you think about it, yeah, Obi-Wan, Yoda, they all come back as ghosts. Nobody ever dies in his movies. George was just so lazy. Han Solo ends up in carbonite instead of dying because they didn't want to kill him off. Obi-Wan becomes a ghost. Yoda becomes a ghost. Anakin becomes a ghost. Ponda Baba loses an arm but doesn't die. Like, just didn't want to kill anybody. Hey, we got Anthony joining. Unlike George R.R. Martin, who killed everybody. Like, oh, you like this character? Oh, it's too bad he's dead. Oh. Yeah, Anthony, we're discussing how George Lucas never really killed anybody in the original trilogy. Everybody either got frozen in carbonite or came back as a ghost, There was very little actual just people dying and not coming back. If he was scared to do it or just didn't think the fans would appreciate it. I'm not going to lie, when I was watching Rogue One, I kept thinking, oh, K2SO is going to get up and he'll be fine. They'll fix him. Oops. I was naive. I thought it was a, George Lucas-y Star Wars film. Or the only time they kill somebody is just to prove a dramatic moment, like, in Episode 7. Though there's constant rumors that, there's constant rumors that Solo is back, or Harrison Ford, or whatever you want to call it, back for, in some way, in a future episode. I don't know how they could do that, but everybody's been saying that. Though I bet he's happy as hell, because we all know he hates Star Wars and all that jazz. Alright, this leg is coming along nicely. Got some proper grunge on the feet. Make it look like it's been walking around a bit. All in these little joints. Make sure all the little panel lines pop out, look good. Okay, I think that leg is sufficiently weathered. I think this leg might even be weathered a little bit more than the other one, so we can leave this guy looking good. Okay, so actually while we got them, we can actually attach these, can't we? I'm going to hold off putting it all the way together just in case. I can't think of a reason not to put it all together. I mean, they need a clear coat. I can do that while it's all attached. Doesn't matter. I'm not going to do much more weathering or any more weathering, right? So, keep pushing it. Okay. And while they're attached, I'll do a little weathering on the joist where they connect. Again, not going too crazy. As the other part we've been discussing is that I think because Vader was on Endor, they put a lot more care into these pieces than they did on like Tatooine, where they knew the boss never goes to a sand planet, so we can ride around on giant lizards. Nobody's gonna tell on us. Alright. Let's get this on the base and just take a look at it and see how it looks. Oh, Harry, I got to meet Harryhausen once. I was actually very proud. He was a very nice guy. I met him for like 2 seconds at an Icon out in Long Island. There we go. Oh, looking nice. I might even go in with a little bit more woodsy stuff just around the foot to kind of make it look like the foot is on the ground, you know, and whatnot. But that's a little something for afterwards. Hello, Belle. Did you want a treat? You guys want to give Belle a treat? Here we go. You'll notice her tongue is usually still sticking out. I don't know how she doesn't chew through her tongue when she eats things. She's very weird. Okay. Alright, this is the tough one. This one's got a lot of little weathering, a lot of little details. I'm actually going to have to be a little bit more careful on this one. This is going to be less about just slapping it on and then wiping some off. Much more focused. Oh, Mike Freeman. Look at how pretty. Yeah, the base came out great. I'm actually very happy with that. Came out even better than I expected. I was like expecting it to be cool, but I didn't think it was going to be like that cool. Oh no, the hatch popped off. I heard it hit the floor. So we can weather the hatch separately then. And just in case I may have to glue it in. Glue, 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 glue. Glue, glue. Where did I put the glue? Little dab of glue. Just in case, because I don't want this thing falling off. I might have to do it for these little the window flaps as well, the shutters. Just because those might pop off when I play with it. As I'm running around going pew pew. Like, okay, I got my treat. Now I can go back to my nap. Nothing else fun's gonna happen. She doesn't care. Looking good. Little stains around this little grip rail thing here on top. Make it look like people have been grabbing it here and there. Back came out great. If you look at the pre-shading, you can. Well, I can see where the pre-shading was. Still need better lighting. The pre-shading's in there. You can definitely see where there's some parts that are already darker than others without any weathering at all from the pre-shading. Mike, are you going to be at Eternal Con with Billy or on your own? Shouldn't assume that you guys are always attached at the hip. Do a little weathering around these cables back here. These little vents. I'm going to do these a little heavy so that they stay, because I'm figuring that's a little too heavy. Ooh, boy. Soak up some of that. There we go. Yep, I'll be there with Mark. Oh, so you're going to have the collectible booth? Because you had some awesome stuff last time. I may have to do a little shopping when I'm there. We're both at the show. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. One thing to remember is when you're wiping the things, wipe them in the direction that rain falls. I did a great streak on the back, but I did it up, so it's anti-gravity streak. Don't tell anybody. I'm going to try and fix it by doing one going down, and hopefully they'll meet in the middle. They're pretty good. All right. And a little bit on these little cables. There's so much detail in this kit. They really did a great job. Can't tout Bandai enough for their awesome kits. It's going to be a fun show. We're doing a dinner Friday night at Vincent's Clam Bar. If you want to come down after setup. I figure by then we'll already need a drink, so get in here. This. Oh no, the gun's twirled. Okay. Almost done. Before I hit the decal on the front for the little blast, I will want to do a quick gloss coat just in that area. And then, other than that, be ready. Oh, I'm going to paint the belly. Underneath, lots of detail. I'll just go a little squishy. This is going to be very hard to see. It's underneath. Kind of be a little lazy. Don't tell anybody that I'm rushing this one on the underside. Whee. That's the beautiful thing about most of the Star Wars models. Most of the yeah, 14, yeah, at least. The weird thing about the Star Wars ships and models and whatever, they were pretty monochromatic. They really only had like one or two colors. They didn't really go too crazy. Not that they were like NASCAR, but you know. A little bit here on the grenade launcher. Nice. All right, almost there. Other side. Just trying to follow the panel lines. Anywhere there's a little buildup of something, you just kind of put a little bit of color on it. So it pops, stands out nicely. As you can kind of see. Where's the close-up of the detailing? There we go. So a little rustic underneath, a little detailing on the back. Again, not going too crazy. I don't like over-weathering Imperial ships. I feel like if somebody's ship was that dirty and beat up, Vader would, you know, strangle him. A little bit around these guys. A little bit in the little eye sockets, or whatever you want to call these things. Oops. I might have to glue these guys in. Belle looks, yeah, she's bored. She's happy she's got air conditioning back. That's all she cares about. She's not boiling anymore. Insides. I just want to rub off a little bit of that color. I think I went a little too heavy around the eyes. I'm trying to keep that part kind of clean. Yeah. And even that they kept changing. If you look at, 3PO changes color like 15 times. Shiny gold, flat gold. It's got a silver part. It's got a red part. They didn't know what they were doing with that guy. Oh, almost dropped an X-Acto knife in my lap. All right. Oh, sure, that you look over for. You wanted to see that, huh? Belle likes to laugh at my misery. Paints up the guns. The weathering, because they're shooty stuff. not bad. Get a little bit to the edge. Wipe it off. Okay, I like it. It's pretty damn good. Don't make it looking slutty. See you later, Mike. I think it looks great. You get some great detail. Looks a little weathered. Looks a little beat up. I'm going to add the little... And I broke it. Okay, so fix that part. Hold on. There we go. Alright. And fixed. Add the little streak across the nose. If I can find the decal sheet. See what I did with that. Got in there. Here we go. So we got a little bowl. I can use this one. It's tiny enough. Got my cup of water. I thought that was what you liked, Roger. I thought you liked the dirty Long Island girl look. This one. So if you remember the Bandai kits, as I explained in the first one, they come with 2 sets of stickers, identical. One is actually a decal, and one is the slide transfer. I'm going to use the slide transfer because that always comes out nicer. I want to hit this with a gloss coat just to give it a little something to stick to. Do this way over here so we don't bother Bill. Oh, so I'm in frame. There we go. Just on the nose. If the paint is glossy, it sticks better with decals. Go. I'm just trashing the place. Don't mind me. I don't think I have a semi-gloss. I think I'm out. So I'm going to have to hit it with a little gloss. But a gloss should actually look good on this. So let's see. Let that dry for a second. This stuff dries pretty quickly. We're going to use a skizzer and cut. If you look, you know, the decals, even good ones, there's the actual piece, and then there's a little bit of flash that goes around it, which is, you know, I guess how they print them. So I want to cut as much of that off as possible so that when I put it on there, you really won't see any edging. It'll just look like a blast scar as is. All right. Dip it in the little water cup. Put it on the side. Let it set for a minute. And the rest of these decals, I don't remember there being any Imperial logos on the ATST, so I'm going to say no to the rest of these. I've got a giant envelope over here of just spare decals, and I've got a bazillion of them. There we go. That looks nice. I need a toothpick. Which way did the scar go? Hold on. Let's make sure I got this right. So it's going top right to bottom left. Right. I've got a little microsol, which is a decal setting solution. Kind of softens it up and lets it stick better. To the piece, a little brush. Just put a little bit of this on the kit, and then we can transfer the decal carefully. There we go. And then we put a little bit more microsol on top. Alright, we're going to let that dry just to get it looking good. In the meantime, we can hit the rest of the kit. You know, we could try. Let me see if this works. Sometimes I like this the way this looks, sometimes I don't. I'm going to use what we call in the industry I can find it. Do I have one that exists? Or am I just making these things up? A silver one. I usually have. I thought I had a ton of them. No. Pipe. Okay, what I was looking for is a pencil. Usually I have a pencil in here. I've got a silver pencil, which is cool. It sometimes helps as well. Don't forget to cap things. Ah, here we go. So a pencil, just a normal pencil, either mechanical or regular, that color on the edges of a kit, especially in this scale, will give it a shine. Not as much as if you use paint. Like trying to paint something this tiny, it's going to be tough. But you can use this to add, to make it look like little chips of paint on the edges, on these little panels here. I mean, I'll have to take a photo and show you guys after, but you'll get the idea. Because there is little scuffing on these kits, but I don't want to go so crazy as to dry brush silver or another color on the edging. Like, I just don't think that that's the way they look. So just a little bit around the edging with a normal pencil. That should do a little bit. Maybe it'll show up, maybe it won't. Yeah, see, I don't like the way these little doors keep moving, so I am going to glue them in place. They're annoying me, the way they flop. Too much glue? Okay. Just a teeny tiny bit. There we go. And then they'll stay in place. Bold perspective, yes. I'm going to do a little bit of this on here, on the edges. It adds like a shine to it. It makes it look like the paint's been scuffed by people touching it too much. Does that make sense? I don't know. But without having to paint on and try and get really tiny details on it. Okay. I'm going to try some of this. Cap the glue, because I sometimes forget to do that. Pencil goes away. And I'm going to take a little bit, I'm going to try, I know I have a brown wash. Flesh. Umber. I think umber might be too dark. Let's see. Going to do this come on, to give kind of a sense of like paint streaky, not paint, but rain streaky. Colors coming down. Just not much, and then wipe the rest off. I don't know if it'll work, but I feel like the side panels are just too clean and smooth. Like they need something. Ew. Okay. Okay. it's working. Okay, that's looking good. This little guy. Probably should have painted the streak on, the little blast in the nose, but it's looking good. These little streaks you can kind of see, just to give something, because it was just so smooth on the sides. Hey, Todd, you missed Roger, or is Roger still here? Is that a flogger in the corner? I don't know which corner you mean. All right, I think we're ready to piece this on. The moment of truth. Alright, there we go. Only thing it's missing is a slight coat. So we're going to hit it with a clear. Jamie Watson. I had to go watch Fargo. Yay! That was the best part. Yeah, Belle makes me drop things. She does that to me on purpose. I think we're basically done. I'm going to hit these guys with a gloss coat, let them set for a little bit, and then put them together, and I think we're done. I don't know which way this guy goes. I'm just going to do a light one. I don't want to hit the whole thing and make it all shiny. I just want to kind of give it a sense that it's got shiny parts, like it's metal. So I kind of just dust it around a bit, if that makes sense. And on Chewy, because he looked a little too dull. I'll place him inside. Come on, Wookie. I think that's a ATST all done. All right. So here we go. All right. The strange little bear man. Yes. There it is, an ATST. It only took us 3 weeks to build, but you know, again, it was only a little bit at a time. I may glue the feet down just to make sure that they don't pop up. Maybe not. Seems like he's holding pretty well. I think it looks great. I think he's got plenty of great detail. I'll take a bunch of photos and kind of give that sense of detailing for you guys. Yeah, the one thing I don't like is that decal. It just stands out so much like a decal. I may peel that off later and then just paint it on. And I can angle it right so you can kind of see where the edges of it are at all times. Or maybe I'll hit it with a, you know what, maybe I'll just hit it with a little airbrush black and see if I can kind of hide it. Or I'll just ruin the whole kit right here. It can go either way. Ugh. Okay, what we're going to cheat down. I'm going to set the air pressure way, 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 way down. Right now we're at, hey, something. About 18 PSI. I'm going to try and get it to 10. There we go. This is delicate surgery. Yeah, I probably should have done this instead of the decal. It's a little bigger than it was before, but at least it covers where that decal edge was. I like it. I like it a lot. Alright, and that is an ATST, I guess. Which way should we have an angle? Okay, so if this is flat, should be looking down, up normal and turned. Let's see. Yeah, I like that. There we go. And that is an ATST Bandai 148 scale kit. Thank you guys for watching. Next week, we'll start on the U-Wing, or I'll do a poll and we'll see what you guys want. I mean, what else do I have? Actually, I don't really have any other kits to do, except for the Enterprise. But the Enterprise is a 3-foot long Enterprise with lights and everything, and that's going to take months. So we'll see. We'll figure it out. But thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to snap some really nice detail pictures, and I'll put this up on the Facebook page so you guys can check it out. And I might have to glue that 1 foot down. We'll see. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. That was a short one. How long are we on? What time is it? Ah, it's only an hour. All right. You want to say goodbye, Belle? Belle? You want to say goodbye? Say bye, Belle. Bye, Belle. Bye. She's like, what? Who's leaving? Bye, Belle. All right. Bye, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed it. Where's the button? Finish.